Okay, so another theme of the first movie was the power of belief, or some people might call it self actualization. But either way, it was placed into the story so subtly that if you blink, you just might miss it, which, in, by the way, is a sign of expert storytelling when you think about it. Because it's a story trope that is old as time itself. You had the power inside of you all along. All you needed was faith in yourself. But like with a lot of story themes, it is all about how you present it or embed it within the story. And that's why the way it's presented here, it's not hokey or over the top positivity that clearly impedes the progress of the story or the pace of the movie. In fact, it's not until the end of the movie that you even realize that it was there all along. And to me, that's what makes it one of the most powerful messages of all time. The message that you can do anything or be anything as long as you believe in yourself. And I know, some people might say that it's corny or over the top, but honestly, I believe there's no truer statement in life. Like it comes in many forms under different names like hope or self love or self confidence or swag, even faith. But it's not a coincidence that the hero of most movies or books or stories, like their character arc, is generally based on this. I mean, you look at all the classics like Wizard of Oz, Dune, The Lion King, Star Wars, even Homer's Iliad, one of the oldest stories of all time. It is always up to the villain to discourage or play on the hero's lack of faith in themselves, their lack of self confidence. I mean, all of the movies or books that I mentioned earlier are perfect examples of this, but it's not limited to just those ones. For example, I just saw the movie Glass again for like the third time or something like that. It's a great movie by M. Night Shyamalan, and it's a perfect example of what we're talking about here. Because in that movie, the antagonist, the therapist, she spends the entire movie trying to convince the heroes that they're crazy for thinking that they could ever even imagine having superpowers. But I mean, in the Matrix, it's another example. It does a great job of subtly portraying this with Agent Smith. Like in if we want to look at it in modern day terms, he's like an IRL troll. You know what I mean? Like he won't tell you what his real name is. His appearance is just an avatar. And every time he talks to Neo, he just keeps reminding him that he's just an average guy. It's like he's constantly trolling him. He's constantly referring to him as Mr. Anderson. I'm sure we all know that one person who refuses to acknowledge that you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You know, that one guy that, or girl, depending on the case, but either way, that one person who's always, every time you see them, the first thing out of their mouth is, hey, remember that time when you sprayed the milk out of your nose in front of that girl you liked? You know, back in the third grade? And you're just like, seriously, dude? Okay, that was the third grade. But anywho, I digress. Did I mention that this was one of the first movies that actually required its main actors to perform their own stunts? Yeah, no, seriously, it is. Nowadays, I know it's commonplace, but its popularity of doing this started with this movie. I mean, nowadays you see Marvel movies or comic book movies or action movies where, like, the majority of the stunts that the main actors can do, you know, safely, I might add, are pretty much done like that. Mission Impossible just jumps out all the things that Tom Cruise did that immediately jumps to mind. But in this movie, it was completely unheard of at that time. Like the main actors in this movie trained in martial arts for 18 months straight before they even thought about filming the movie itself. And at the time, it was like a dedication that was completely unheard of in Hollywood. And myself, speaking from a personal point of view, being a creative myself, I can't help but admire anyone who will do whatever it takes in the name of their art, and especially in their chosen field. I mean, it's incredible. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mention this movie is a masterpiece of cinema? I know, I know. Most people who dislike this movie or hate the trilogy, they're going to be incredibly uncomfortable with that description, or in some cases, violently opposed to it for their own, ideals, I guess you'd say. But anytime a movie theme or an ideal of the movie can be turned into a college course at multiple major universities, and still be there 15 to 20 years after the movie's original theatrical release, you have to admit its impact on society. But again, I digress. Okay, so back to the movie. When Neo meets Morpheus, he explains that they don't know much about their history, like when it comes to fight the humans fighting against the machines. All they know is that they were the ones who scorched the sky in their never-ending war against the machines. And I know some of you will probably bring up The Animatrix, which, by the way, was a great, really great movie, like groundbreaking animated film that dives into more of the history and gives like context to the original movie, The Matrix. By the way, that was just a beautiful movie. But it's history in the movie that they're talking about, the history between the humans and the machine war. I mean, the history is told in that movie from the machine's point of view. So, as a human, I have to question it, don't I? Like, it only makes sense because it's all coming from their point of view. But